You may have noticed some of my Options Scanner YouTubes have fake 3D charts on the thumbnails, like this. I thought it was time to address that false advertising and make a real one. It may not look quite as cool as the AI-generated charts on the thumbnails, but it's more useful and accurate. It's the entire option chain with your filters on as one 3D shape that you can grab, spin around, and zoom in or zoom out. I'll also demo a couple other new things since last episode. Some GEX enhancements and the new Live Charts tab where you can view multiple stocks or crypto. Everything you see here is 100% free and open source. It's in the Stockpile repo on GitHub, linked in the description. So let's dive into the new 3D chart. We're on the single ticker tab. I'll scan a stock, NKE, Nike, and we're in sell mode. We're going to do calls. I could have just selected it here for my recent scans to fill in, to pre-populate my filters, but I'm going to do it by hand. It's the weekend, so the option chain data may be a little strange. This would be more meaningful during market hours on a workday. Let's do 20 to 75 DTE. Make sure we get multiple expirations. And let's relax the liquidity filters, not require any volume. And we're on Yahoo Finance. So this is a scan just like earlier episodes. Down on the volatility surface chart here, look at the view selectors. We've had single expiration and all expirations previously. Now there's a third option, 3D surface. This only shows up on the single ticker tab. It's not on the portfolio tab. So click 3D surface. Here's the chart. Let's expand it and scroll so it fills the screen. Now I'm going to rotate it to get the DTE over on the left side over here. Again, this plots the filtered chain as a 3D shape. The strike is across the bottom. Zoom out a little bit. The days to expiration are going back into the screen, the y-axis. And then the implied volatility is going up. That's the z-axis. And you can drag to rotate or the mouse wheel to zoom in or out. If you zoom and rotate, you can see the typical smile shape on this closest expiration. Front to back across expirations is how the volatility changes over time. The same strike can be priced very differently at different expirations. And this surface tilt shows it. This is the DTE. This front to back tilt across expirations is what traders call the term structure of volatility. Vol is a function of time instead of strike. So again, we're seeing the whole volatility surface right now at once instead of one expiration at a time. Each one of these lines is a different expiration. The dots you see here and here are the actual contracts, one per option at their real implied volatility. The shaded sheet is our fitted surface, the expected implied volatility, which the model fits through the chain. And the colors, both the dots and the surface, use the same red to green scale, driven by IV plus PP, our measure of how rich a contract is versus its neighbors. Green means rich, better than expected premium when you're selling. Red means IV cheap, here and here. In buy mode, the scale flips and green becomes the cheap, good to buy. So the surface isn't just a plain mesh anymore. It's tinted green where actual IV is above the fitted expectation, and red where it's running below. So you can quickly identify the interesting areas of the volatility surface by just looking at the colors. The dots float above and below the fitted surface. You can see this better if you rotate and zoom. Contracts above the surface are the rich ones. Contracts under the surface, there's a few, are the cheap ones. The gap between the dot and the surface is exactly what IV plus PP is measuring, now in 3D. The sheet is clipped to the strike range that the fit actually supports, this rectangle. So you don't get the less reliable, far out of the money humps. Outside the plane, the data is less reliable. By default, the 3D chart shows just the contracts inside the delta range. You set this range in the filters above, 15 to 35 delta. The delta slider is filtering the contracts shown on the chart. However, the volatility surface boundaries, the entire rectangle, are defined by the contracts that anchor the fit, not the ones the delta slider filters. The surface is regressed on the liquid out of the money options on both wings, calls above and puts below the spot. So it always spans both sides of the spot, even when you narrow the slider down to a handful of dots. I had a bug in earlier parts of this episode where the surface would stop right at the spot, but Claude fixed it just now. Now click the full chain button here on the top right of the chart, and it redraws the chart with every contract, strike and expiration, even those way beyond those used to fit the surface, like way out here and way out here. And it redraws instantly, no rescan. When switching between sell and buy mode, the delta range defaults to a commonly used range. Sell mode opens on a low out of the money band, 15 to 35 delta, and buy mode opens on a higher near the money band, 35 to 65. Let's run a recent buy scan, very similar to the previous sell scan, and run it. Look at the 3D surface, expand, and now the most interesting options to buy sit right around the money, right around the spot where the delta is higher, and the color scale has inverted. In buy mode, green becomes cheap, good to buy, because now you want implied vol under the fitted surface, not over it. Same chain, same ticker. The chart reframes itself for the trade you're actually putting on. When you flip over to buy, you'll need to rescan to redraw the delta change and color inversion. Changing direction alone won't update these until you hit scan again. This mostly transparent vertical plane is the spot price. The spot is 42.98 here. I'm not sure if you can read that. It's a color nothing else uses, so at a glance you can tell which contracts are out of the money versus in the money in 3D. These are calls, so left is in the money and right is out of the money. A few other details. The bigger numbered dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are the top picks, the numbers matching the rank in the candidates table below. 1 is the strongest signal. Up top, there's a one-line filter summary. Up here, the action, delta band, DTE span, open interest and volume floors, and how many picks to label. So a screenshot of the chart explains itself. There is a expand button that makes it taller or shorter, as well as a full screen toggle over here. That's a Plotty library built-in control. And that's the 3D volatility surface in a nutshell. It's the same data as other episodes, just rendered in a 3D shape that shows all expirations at once and allows rotating and zooming for fun. Now we'll take a quick look at some GEX chart improvements. We're on the GEX tab. It's also on the single ticker. I'm not really sure if we need it both places. Please let me know in the comments. We're scanning NVIDIA. Here is the chart. It now has a gamma flip line. From Claude, the gamma flip line is the strike where dealers' cumulative net gamma crosses 0. Above it, their net long gamma and tend to dampen moves, pinning. Below it, their net short and amplifying them. The bars don't switch colors there because each bar is colored by that single strike's own gamma. Green if calls dominate and red if puts dominate, which is a local mix, whereas the flip is the running total crossing 0. So red and green bars naturally appear on both sides of the line. And you can now zoom to get more strikes to appear and drag it left or right and zoom out. And the trading dashboard now has its own tab, Live Charts. If you'd like to run it in its own window, you can do so by clicking on this link to give it a little more space. It runs on a different port than the scanner. You can view up to 8 panes, and stocks or crypto. And we've added Schwab as an additional source for the quotes, as well as Hyperliquid for crypto and Yahoo Finance. And in the trading dashboard folder, there's a config TOML file that allows you to customize how it looks when initially loaded, and an example file in the repo. A few thank yous to contributors and those providing feedback. Thanks to Bitra AI for the steady run of Gex issues on GitHub, the gamma flip marker, the spot centering, and formula fixes and zooming. Thanks to Chief Wilson for a PR adding a faster single fetch mode when you scan calls and puts together, plus a fallback for zero volume contracts. Thanks to Serendipity 30 for the live trading dashboard, which keeps getting better. Thanks to Steve71 for fixing a Mumu toggle overlap on the Brave browser. And thanks to Vu Sudo for adding environment variable support for Schwab. Sorry if I forgot about anybody. If you're a developer and want to pitch in, you're always welcome. The repo could use some help supporting other brokers, transaction log formats, and option chain data sources for interactive brokers, Tradier, and Tasty Trade in particular. Same reminder as always, verify anything you find with the scanner at your broker before you trade. This is not investing advice, and I make no guarantee on the accuracy of the findings or whether they will be profitable. Please join the Discord and the Patreon, both linked here and in the description. Like, subscribe, and notify. And please drop a comment, good or bad. Next episode is one I'm excited about, scanning a whole watch list at once and getting a single ranked leaderboard of the best options across every ticker. A couple of my other scanner episodes should have popped up. Please check one out. Thanks for watching to the end and have a profitable day.